Unfortunately, I have some bummer news. The last episode, I did the barbecue DLC, or not the last episode, the last recording. I did the DLC barbecue, and I ended up losing the footage. I tried to go back to replay it, but it is blocked off. So we are gonna brush it off our shoulders, and we are just gonna move on to the next DLC. Let's continue. So we are on DLC Runaway. I did the barbecue one, and I will just brush you up on it. In the last barbecue DLC, we went to the park with Cove and his dad and our two moms and our sister Lizzie. And at the park, we enjoyed food, watched fireworks, played with other children, and all in all, just had a really good time and a really wholesome barbecue moment with the family. And now we are gonna move on. Let me adjust myself. I hope you guys are doing really well. It's been a minute, and I love reading all of your comments. You guys are amazing, and I'm so excited to be back. Okay. It was early, and you were on your way to the playground. Lizzie planned on joining you there later. You weren't sure what she was busy with right now. Older kid stuff, you imagined. That was okay. What was forefront in your mind was if Cove might be free to come too. As you walked the familiar street, wondering how you might find your neighbor, he appeared right in front of you, almost as if he was a mind reader. Hi, can you play now? No, sorry. Cove looked strangely serious. It had been an even bigger deal than whatever mystery thing Lizzie had to do. I'm leaving, Paige. What? Where? He shifted, and your gaze was drawn to the backpack slung over his shoulders. Cove liked to stuff things into his pockets from what you've seen, but people sometimes carried bags with them if it hadn't been very attention-worthy until now. The pack was decorated with cartoon waves and dolphins. He gripped one of the straps tightly with his good hand. I just wanted you to know. Cove didn't glance up and meet your eyes. You started to grow worried. I don't get it. But where are you going? Oh. Can I go too? I'll come with you. Okay, so Shy Paige is going to choose. But where are you going? I think. Okay, yeah. He didn't answer. It was as if you hadn't said anything. I'll come back though, sometime. I don't know when, but we can do stuff then. He directed a fragile smile your way. Without another word, Cove turned on his heel and started to walk away. No, Cove, don't leave me, is what Paige wanted to say. Bye. See you when you're done. Wait. You couldn't say anything else to him. Let's say wait. He didn't give us anything. He just said he's gone and he might be back. He kept going. His focus wasn't on you anymore. What was that about? You watched as his back grew smaller and smaller. Then you realized that you were still standing in the middle of the sidewalk. You thought about your earlier plan of playing at the park. Suddenly, it didn't seem as fun anymore, not without Cove. But it wasn't like you could force him to play with you. He had things to do. You went to play at the park. You stayed there. there's no point in standing there, I don't believe. It was still sad Cove wouldn't be there, but he wanted to stick with the plans you had on your own. Maybe Cove and his dad were going on vacation. That had to be it, you reasoned. After all, Cove said he was going to be back. He wasn't moving again. You resolved to spend time with Cove when you saw him next time for sure. After a couple of hours at the playground by yourself, it had gotten firmly into afternoon. You were on the swing set with your feet buried in the sand when you spotted Lizzie in the distance. She was rushing over like something was on her tail, chasing her. You knew she would be coming, but what was she that excited to get to the park? But was she that excited to get to the park? Instead of nabbing the swing beside yours, Lizzie stopped in front of you. She bent over, balanced her hands on her knees, and panted. Did you hear? Hear what? Lizzie bounced back up, her eyes blown wide. You only saw her this worked up when she found the new hiding place of Mom's sugar stash. It's about Cove. Cove. Something in the pit of your stomach dropped at hearing his name. You listened intently as Lizzie explained. I just came out when I saw lots of people gathering around in the middle of the street. Oh no. What could have happened? They were talking kind of quietly, so I don't think I was supposed to hear, but that just means it was important. So I snuck up and I heard everything. She paused dramatically. Clearly, she wanted you to say something. So, what did you hear? Tell me. I don't really care. You just looked back at her. I'm just gonna look at her. Lizzie frowned at your lack of response, but continued anyway. Cove is missing. Raise the alarm. He left a piece of paper for Mr. Holden to tell him he was going away and would be gone for a long time. And nobody's seen him since. Now they're searching the whole neighborhood. The grown-ups were even saying that if they don't find Cove soon, they'll call the police. The police. This was horrible. You had seen Cove. You knew he was going someplace, but you had no idea it was like that. Was Cove going to be arrested for running away? You thought you might have to go to jail too for not saying anything and letting him go. You glanced back at Lizzie. Should you tell her that you'd known about Cove leaving, or would it be better to keep that to yourself? You kept it a secret from Lizzie, or you told Lizzie about seeing Cove? I think that it would be in Paige's best interest to be honest with her sister. So we're gonna tell her that we knew Cove was leaving. Actually, Lizzie, I saw Cove. He told me he was gonna go before I went to the park. What? Really? You nodded seriously. Oh, you know, you could be in big trouble if a grown-up found out you didn't tell anybody that Cove was being weird. Look at her face. She's so devious. You know that she's thinking of some form of blackmail. She crossed her arms over her chest, sticking her nose in the air. Oh, you're lucky I won't tell on you. You're welcome. How sweet. Coming from Lizzie. You scoffed. Thanks, Lizzie. You looked down shyly. Thanks, Lizzie. You were happy that Lizzie had your back. She always did when it came to potential trouble. is crazy. Where else is he gonna go anyway? I'm just gonna have some water. Where else is he gonna go anyway? I don't know. I want to find him. I hope someone finds him soon. Yeah, I'd go to tons of places. You didn't answer her. I'm gonna say I want to find him. That would be like an adventure waiting to happen, so let's do it. Lizzie scrunched her face up, thinking deeply for a moment. Then she nodded and planted her hands on her hips, determined. I'm gonna look too. You are? We can play at the park any day, and the more people there are looking, the quicker someone will find him. Maybe I'll be the one who does. I'm the best at hide and seek after all. It seemed like Lizzie wanted to look not only because she was concerned about Cove, but also because it was the most interesting thing to happen this week. Wish me luck. Before you could say anything, she ran off in the opposite direction from where she came. You were left in the dust in a matter of moments. That was your sister for you. But Lizzie's appearance in this crisis faded to the back of your mind just as quickly. Cove. He told his dad he was leaving to go somewhere by himself. Why did Cove suddenly decide to do that today? Did something bad happen? It was impossible to say for sure. Unfortunately, you had no idea where he could have gone. You thought hard. There were the hills behind your house. He had gone there the first time you met. But someone would have checked there already. They wouldn't need the police for that. Cove must be far away or hiding somewhere. If the whole neighborhood was looking for him, you swung back and forth, your lips pursed in contemplation. If I were Cove, where would I go? Probably somewhere near the ocean, I think, or to his mother's house. Liz had said Cove was crazy for running away from home, but he never considered Sunset Bird his home, did he? His real home was somewhere else. There was only one place that came to mind that might be important enough for Cove to go off like this. It was a good idea, except how was he gonna get there? Could he take a bus? Was he gonna walk the whole way? He didn't know what direction he needed to take. But wait, there was only one way he could go. Going down the street just led to the beach, so that couldn't be right. Going to either side would mean he'd get stuck by buildings and fences and big slopes, like the one behind your house. That left going up the street, you knew that road. It led into the main part of town and kept going all the way to the city limits. Cove didn't know the area well. You didn't think he'd want to go off that road onto some random other street, which meant if someone followed that path, they might find him somewhere along it. The grown-ups seemed to all be looking in the neighborhood, so you had to tell them where to search. You had to go find Cove by yourself. This is such a tough decision. This girl is only 8 years old, so she should tell other people, tell the adults. But where is the fun in that? So let's pick the more dangerous option that's gonna upset all the adults. You were worried about Cove and didn't have to bother anyone. Plus, you might be wrong. It was your idea, so you should be the one to check there. You rushed to where you had abandoned your flip-flops and slipped them on. They slapped against the sand as you left the playground. You went right up along the main street, keeping an eye out for Cove. No one Just how far had Cove gone? You kept walking. You even called out for Cove a few times, but you didn't see the familiar mop of green hair anywhere. Oh no, it's getting late. After a while, the sun began to dip out of the sky. It would be dark soon, and there was still no sign of your neighbor. You weren't even in the residential district by this point. You had reached the central part of town. The area was at once strange and familiar. You'd been here before, of course, but never without your moms close by. They would drive you. Your footsteps slowed. You started second-guessing your decision to go ahead by yourself. It wasn't like you knew for sure where Cove went. Cove! Cove! Where are you? You shouted his name a few times, as you had done periodically this entire time, but there was nothing. Maybe he's not going this way. Was he somewhere else? Had someone found him already? You turned back, you kept going forward. Let's continue our journey. You were able to make it this far. You had to continue your search. With that in mind, you pushed yourself to walk a little faster. People said this was a really tiny town, but to you, it felt absolutely gigantic. Eventually, the business part of town ended too. There was no sidewalk anymore, only a long expanse of road. You walked on the grass instead. Onward was the only option. Your journey stubbornly continued. Yes. Your feet hurt. You were tired. You were on your own. But somehow, you had reached the very edge of Sunset Bird. That's what the sign told you. Now leaving Sunset Bird. You had lived in Sunset Bird forever, and it was a very rare occasion that you'd see this sign. Most of everything in your life happened inside the city limits. The endless road ahead seemed scary in a way. It paralyzed you and finally put an end to your forward momentum. You scanned your surroundings instead of dwelling on that. You deeply hoped he hadn't gone past that sign either. Yeah, at this point, I think she should turn back. She's reached the end of the city limit. She's good, she looked. Can't say she didn't try. Cove. The previous times you'd called his name, there had been no answer. You couldn't be surprised that one didn't come this time either. Until what? Paige. A dark blob just behind one of the exit sign's legs shifted. You squinted as it continued to move. The more you stared, the more your eyes adjusted, and the more that dark blob resembled a person. Then you realized just who it was. It was Cove. He was here. You actually found him. Yeah, see, hard work does pay off. He hesitantly got up from where he'd been sitting, as if to make sure he had actually heard something. Then he caught sight of you, his eyes wide behind his glasses. There you are. Are you crazy? I'm so happy you're here. Or no, I'm so happy you're here. I've been looking everywhere for you. I knew you'd be here. You were just as stunned, and it left you silent. Let's be silent. Cove finally blinked as you ran up to him, your feet still aching. How did you find me? You said you were leaving, and you've always wanted to go back home. So I thought you must have come this way. Oh. And that was all he said. After all of this, maybe he didn't realize how seriously the adults were taking it. What are you gonna do now? Are you okay? We should head back now. I'm not gonna force him to go back. I'm just gonna say, what are you gonna do now? I'm gonna keep going. I feel like I'm making this worse. He spoke firmly, and his gaze turned towards the long stretch of road leaving town. Everyone's looking for you. That caught his attention. He frowned at you. They are. Yeah, the whole neighborhood. Lizzie told me they might even call the police. Police. Move this. We might get arrested. What? Why? I don't know. Because you tried to run away, probably, and I knew, so I'm your, accomplice. Was that the word? I know, I rarely hear an 8-year-old use the word accomplice. Was that the word? You thought so. You'd heard it before on those detective shows Mommy liked to watch. We're not gonna be arrested. Although Gove said that, he looked a little worried over the news. Come on, Gove, let's go home. No. He spoke crossly. You were thirsty and exhausted, and you weren't sure you could keep going back and forth about this. Why not? How come? Why can't we just go? You're stupid. I don't understand why you can't go back. I am going to say, how come? Your question caused him to waver, but not budge. At first, Gove was quiet. You started to think he wouldn't say anything. Then he spoke. My mom called today to check up on me and stuff. She asked what Sunset Bird was like and how I was doing. It was okay. But when I asked if she'll come here, Mom said she couldn't. I can't go back either, not right now. She has to move to somewhere else first. Gove glared at the ground. His voice cracked as he continued. Why can't I even see her anymore? He used his uncasted arm to rub both of his eyes. I'm gonna go myself. I don't need anyone to take me. Oh, that's so sad. How are you gonna get your mom? How are you gonna get to your mom's place? That's such a bad idea. This was all just too much, and you started to cry. Do you know the directions to your old house? You're being selfish. Okay, so I want to ask him if he knows the directions. Yeah, so let's do that. He just wanted to see his mom. Maybe you would have had the idea to run away too if you were Gove, but that doesn't mean it'll work. She's not there. They both left it. She's staying with somebody until she moves somewhere else. Where her friend's house? Gove was silent for a moment. You poked a hole in his perfect plan. Then he shook his head, like he was trying to clear it. When he spoke some more, it was mostly to himself. I'm gonna pause. I just love the music to this game. I love the piano. It's pretty. If I don't go see Mom, then she's... Fresh tears glistened in Gove's red-rimmed eyes. He stubbornly tried to blink them away, but they slipped down his cheeks. Your heart twisted in your chest. No matter what, you hated seeing him cry. You nodded for him to continue. Mom doesn't call that much, and I haven't seen her in so long. I could see why that would be traumatizing for him to just be completely cut off from his mom physically, you know, not to be able to hug her and talk to her face to face for, am it must be like a year now. Or maybe not. No, never mind. It's still the same summer. It's been like a month, but still. Cove hiccuped, wiping his face with the back of his arm. His glasses got shoved up awkwardly as a result. If I don't go, she'll be gone. She'll forget about me. She wouldn't do that. How do you know? 'Cause nobody could ever forget you, Cove. His cheeks pinkened. Flustered, you broke eye contact and looked down. Cove sniffled. He seemed conflicted. I'm not sure if that's right. You were at a standstill. It seems we've reached an impasse. Okay, everything will be okay if we just go home. We can't stay here forever, and we can't go out there. We've got to go back. Then we'll stay out here. I'm not gonna go back. Okay, so I choose. Then we'll stay here. I'm not gonna go back because she's got Cove's back, you know. They're friends right now, and I understand why he would be so upset. So let's do it. His lower lip trembled at your declaration. Are you sure? You don't have to. You can still go home without me. You didn't leave a letter or anything. I am sure. I feel like I have dog hair on my lips. Thanks. The final part of his statement was whispered. You're always there when I think I'm gonna be by myself. And that was that from him. Both of you shuffled towards the sign. He sat near it again, and you followed, crossing your legs into yourself. So we're just gonna stay here, I guess. He zipped open his backpack and offered you a snack, which you took. You hadn't had dinner, so you were hungry. There was a feeling of camaraderie in the silence as you ate. ... Do you think they'll call the police after all? Probably. Everyone must still be looking for Cove, and you too now. No, probably not. He didn't sound confident though. You still hoped he was right. You didn't want to go to jail. ... The silence is beautiful. You weren't sure how much time passed. All you knew was that one moment you were letting your eyelids droop while huddling near Cove under the sign, and the next, you were snapped back to attention by the blaring beep of a horn. Oh shoot. Cove froze. He whipped around to see a car approaching you. It was difficult to make out who it was. The headlights were so blinding. Oh my gosh, I wonder who it is. Instead of continuing down the road, the car slowed nearer where you sat. Dun dun dun. And you were kidnapped and never to be heard from again. The window rolled down, revealing the face behind the wheel. It was very familiar. Mom, she shouted back, and not just because there was some distance between you and her. I knew she was gonna be pissed. Oh shit. What are you kids doing here? I've been looking everywhere for you. I'm sorry, Mom. She stopped looking at you, instead staring hard straight ahead. Both her hands were gripping the wheel. Guilt ate you up from the inside. Get in. I'm gonna make her voice deep. She's pissed. Let's get you to home. That at least made her showing up worth it. Your feet were aching like crazy from all the walking you'd done today. You yanked open the side door, slipped inside the back seat, then clambered over so Cove had enough room to climb into. He followed in wordlessly, tucking his backpack near his feet. The adventure ends in guilt and shame. Your mom looked at you and Cove from the rearview mirror. The two of you had us extremely worried. That wasn't a good thing to do. Not at all. Shamefaced, you both nodded as one. Sorry, Mrs. Maple. Sorry, Mom. She softened immediately. Not enough to actually let it go, though. You'll have to apologize to everyone else, too. With that, Mom started the car up again and you were off. For the rest of the car ride, no one said anything. You thought all of you were pretty tired. In fact, you must have dozed off at some point because you woke up to the sound of the engine stopping. When you looked around to get a sense of your surroundings, you realized Cove was leaning his head on you. He might have been asleep before this, too. The moment your eyes met, he turned away. We're back. You yawned and got out of the car. Cove came out after, putting his backpack on again. Mom locked the car door and motioned you two towards the house. She opened the front door and let you go in first. Mommy appeared quickly. She must have been waiting nearby. There was a phone in her hand. It worried you, thinking about who she might have been talking to. The tight line of her shoulders relaxed when she saw you and Cove. Oh, thank goodness you found both of them. Yes, I did. They were at the actual end of the town, right under the now leaving sign. What were you two doing down there this time of night? Do you have any idea how far that is? How unsafe? You peeked at Cove. He still looked exhausted. His eyes were puffy and they were dried. There were dried tear streaks stuck to his cheeks. I wanted to see my mom. Paige came to get me. Your own moms shared a look. You weren't sure what it meant, but they always did that. You wondered if they could read each other's minds. Since they were communicating telepathically, you stole a glance around the house. Lizzie wasn't anywhere in sight. Could she be outside somewhere, searching for Cove still? Where's Lizzie? Your sister's in her room fast asleep, the same way you should have been. She came back earlier. She had been out looking for Cove after accidentally finding out he was missing. She tried to pretend otherwise, but she was worried. Oh, Lizzie. She said she checked all the hiding places she could think of, but she couldn't find Cove. You and Cove exchanged remorseful glances at that. Mommy noticed the discomfort. You two must be sleepy. You can sit down wherever you like. Mommy smiled warmly and motioned to the living room. Cove looked up at her, then lumbered over. You followed close behind. The living room wasn't far or separated by a wall, so you heard your moms talking softly. He wanted to go to his mother. Poor thing. That explains it, at least. Still, I'm not sure it excuses it. It was so dangerous to go off in a town like that. He's having a hard time right now. You can't expect a child to handle it maturely. True, it can't be helped. But that's enough of that. We should tell Cliff and the others that he's here before the panic gets out of hand. There could be riots. Riots? What is the whole town gonna riot? I'll call, then go to the front to tell everyone's still out there. You keep an eye on the kids. Make sure they don't take any more trips today. Got it, hun. Cove just sat there on the couch, setting his backpack down beside him. He stared at his hands. This is so weird. What is? Everyone was looking for me. They all know I tried to leave. I kinda wanna run away and not come back this time so I don't have to see them again. Hey, maybe I should try that. That isn't gonna happen. They'll forgive you. Please never run away again. I'll just say, I'll forgive you. They'll forgive you. Maybe. When it seemed silence would descend upon the two of you again, the front door opened. Your mom was back with Mr. Holden close behind her. He made a beeline from the couch, his gaze strained on his son. Oh no. Grove, God, are you alright? Strands of his hair had fallen out of his ponytail. His eyes were darkened like he'd been crying too. Oh, that is so sweet. Gov stared up at his dad, his own eyes wide behind the frames of his glasses. He really hadn't expected it to be such a big deal. I'm okay. Good, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that. He clasped a hand on his son's shoulder, attempting a smile, but the corners of his lips twitched and spasmed, as if they wanted to wilt into a frown instead. Gov seemed to have that effect on him. Mr. Holden turned to you, still smiling weakly. I'm so happy you're alright too, Paige. Then he looked at your mom's. I'm bad at reading. Thanks for your help as always. He laughed pitifully. And I'm very sorry for ruining your afternoon with this. I can't apologize enough. It was no trouble, Cliff, really. It couldn't be helped in a way. Something was bound to happen sometime. Besides, he wasn't the only one who decided it was a good idea to disappear today. Exactly. We're just as happy the kids are safe and sound. Not for the first time that day, you recalled your original meeting with Cove. He had run away then too, only not as far as he had today. Cove must have had a similar thought because he mumbled an apology. Sorry, Dad, I won't leave anymore, promise. Some life seemed to return to Mr. Holden thanks to his promise. This time around, his smile was more genuine.
I'm so glad.
That's a relief to hear. Next time you feel like running off, come to me first, okay? We can talk about it. I'm here for you. Cove nodded. His dad reached out and mussed his hair playfully. Although he made a face, Cove didn't try to dodge the hand as he usually did. Let's go home, bud. I bet you're as tired as I am. Mr. Holden took over carrying Cove's backpack, still clasping a free hand on his son's shoulder when he stood up from the couch. The five of you walked over to the front door so you could see them off. Mr. Holden thanked your moms profusely at least 3 more times before he walked out to the door. Cove was made to follow, but he stopped and turned to you before stepping through the threshold. Thanks, Paige. You're a true friend. You're welcome. I try. A tiny smile flitted across his lips, there and then gone. I'm glad you're okay. You waved him off. You hugged him. Okay, I'm gonna hug his ass. Before he was gone, you reached over to give him a hug goodbye after a hard day. He held you back more tightly than you could have anticipated, and you almost squeaked out a noise. I'm glad you're here. His embrace was tight, but brief. He let go as soon as he said what he wanted to. And with that, Cove left. Mommy closed the door behind them. You were practically dead on your feet at that point. Your fatigue must have been obvious because your mom sent you right to the bed with no more discussion on what happened that day. Once your head hit the pillow, your eyes slipped closed on their own. Your eyelids were so heavy you couldn't open them again until the next morning. Morning time. You woke up much more at ease than you had felt when you were last conscious. It was almost like it was a dream. but it definitely wasn't. Your mom's face when you saw them assured that. After breakfast, you were sat down and your family went over yesterday's events in full. There were none too pleased that you went out to find Cove on your own. As punishment, your mom took away your TV privileges for the next few days. Lizzie was annoyed that she couldn't watch your shows with you around, but she adjusted. Whenever you expressed disappointment, your moms reminded you that they weren't punishing you for no reason. It was dangerous to go out on your own so late, and without telling anyone, you could have gotten hurt, or worse. As upset as you were, you understood. Mr. Holden talked to Cove about what happened too. You didn't know what was said exactly, but Mr. Holden's forgave Cove immediately. He didn't do anything to punish Cove for running away. Difference in parenting styles. He blamed no one but himself for Cave's desire to leave home. You caught your moms discussing it once in hushed tones, frowning at each other. It was pretty serious. There was a word used you hadn't heard before. Self-flagellation. Not even I know what that means. I swear I've never seen that word before. Self-flagellation. I'm gonna have to look that up in the dictionary. According to my dictionary Google search, self-flagellation is the action of flogging oneself, especially as a form of religious discipline or excessive criticism of oneself. So do with that what you will. Let's move on. But there wasn't anything they could do to change Mr. Holden's mind. Your neighbors stopped you and Cove often for the next week or so to express their concerns and disapproval of the event. Still, as they always did, days continued to pass. So did talk about Cove running away. Things eventually returned to normal as they had to. Just give it time. Summer kept going and you kept having experiences you shared with Cove. And that is the end of the Runaway DLC. I actually really enjoyed it. It was a really long one though. Cracked my back. I enjoyed it. I think that we still have a long way to go. I'm really impatient. I want to get to the juicy parts where your character becomes a woman and yeah, anyway. We will do the sleepover in the next episode, which will be fun, I'm sure. And then we have the original memories that we'll go through as well. So we have that to look forward to. Thank you so much for watching. You are everything to me. I'll see you in the next Our Life Beginnings and Always episode. Have a good day. Bye.